Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So I decided to shoot a short video on chainsaws that are commonly used in carving and what you can do to those chainsaws to upgrade them to start improving the carvings that you're making. So I hope you guys will stick around as I walk you through some of this. Two of the saws I'm going to be talking about today is the Stihl MS250 and the Stihl MS170. Now these are two common saws that a lot of people are using to carve, to start out with, and even some guys that I've seen that have been carving for a long time are still using these two saws. Why? Well, one, because they're cheap, reliable, sometimes dependable. I know there's plenty of critics out there that dislike these two saws and they didn't work for them, and well, they just didn't work for you. I'm sorry to hear that. So the first saw we're going to be talking about is the Stihl MS170. This is normally the first saw for most people. I know it was my first chainsaw when I really started to carve. They come in pretty darn cheap. You can get them real cheap on dealer days at a Stihl dealer. When you buy that saw, it comes with a bar similar to this. Normally a 16-inch bar, which I think is a little too big for that saw. As you start carving, you'll see some of my videos where I'm using a dime tip bar, a detail bar. Now that bar is on my Stihl MS170. Now you can go right over to your Stihl dealer and buy this as a kit. You know, you can tell them I've got an MS170, I want to put a dime tip carving bar on it. Now what that should provide for the dealer is that you're going to need a new sprocket, a new chain, and the dime tip bar. Now these prices can vary, so I'm not going to put a price out there. You'll have to just talk with them and get that figured out. That's the setup you're going to need though to get going on a a real detail saw. So those are the components you're going to need to put together your detail saw, which is going to look like this when you're all done. Now currently the dime tip bar is one of the smallest ones you can get. I think Sugihara bars make one that's a little bit smaller, but I haven't gotten one yet and I haven't been able to try it. So right now I'm just working with the Stihl and I like them. They do most of the detail work you guys see me doing in my carvings, and I think they do a really good job and they hold up really well. Now that's an easy swap. I'm not going to walk it through you on this saw, but I'm going to walk you through it on the next saw, and that process is going to apply to any of them. So you've got your dime tip bar on and your detail saw is all set up. Then what are you going to be running? You know, maybe you've jumped up and you've bought the Stihl MS250. A little bit bigger saw, you got more power, works great for blocking. Now I have found this saw to be a little underpowered sometimes depending on cuts and how big of a carving I'm working on. And you know, it is what it is. You know, you can always save, upgrade, get a bigger saw. I was talking to another carver who's been carving longer than myself, and he made a suggestion so that I can make faster cuts, thinner cuts, and more accurate cuts. And what that was actually downsizing the bar I'm using. So when you buy the Stihl MS250, it comes with this 18-inch bar. It's quite a bit thicker than what he was showing me. You know, so here's the bar that's on my saw now, and here's the stock bar. You guys can see the difference there at least, right? You might be able to see the, right here the bar is as thick as the chain is on the saw. All right, so how do you get a thinner bar and chain on your 250? Now I say upgrade, but in fact we're actually going to downgrade it. So what we got to do is get the Stihl MS250, right? Then you're going to need to take it apart. You need to remove the bar and the chain, which I hope most of you know how to do at this time. If you're learning to carve, you got to kind of know how to do those things. You remove those things. You're going to need a new sprocket, a new bar, and a new chain. They all need to be able to fit the Stihl MS170. So if you just did the swap on your 170 for the dime tip bar, guess what? You have all those parts. You have the sprocket, you've got the bar, and you've got a brand new chain, or used, whatever. You take those items and they will fit right on your 250. Now, to swap out the sprocket, it is actually a very easy process. I'm going to move the camera down and you guys I'll just walk you through it. I'm not actually going to pop mine off, but the steps are very simple, so I'll just show you right now. All right, guys, so the first thing you're gonna need is your saw wrench. You're gonna wanna undo these. This process is gonna apply to putting the dime tip bar kit on the 170 and swapping your stuff out here on the 250. It's the same setup basically on these saws. Nothing's really different. Simple enough. Here's your cover. The bar and chain will just come right off like that. If they're loose enough. If they're not loose enough, you gotta come in here and turn this piece. It'll loosen your bar and chain, but I'm hoping that everybody watching has already kind of got this stuff down. Next thing you're gonna do is you take your saw wrench, and there's a snap ring right here. You're gonna work on pushing that snap ring off and prying it out, and it'll pop off. Don't lose it, you need that. Next, you'll remove the washer and then the sprocket. Now once that sprocket's off, this is what you'll be looking at. You'll have the snap ring, the washer, and the sprocket in your hand. Now when you look at your sprocket, well, set these ones aside because you're not going to need this sprocket. Set this sprocket aside, save the washer and snap ring. You'll put those right back on. So at this time, pick up the 170 sprocket and look it over. You'll find a little notch in it. I know mine says 250, but let's pretend it's a 170. You see this little notch? That little notch needs to meet up to a silver rod you'll see in here once this is removed. That goes to the worm drive, that goes to your oiler. If that isn't put back on right, you're not going to get oil to your bar. And you'll probably think your oil pump is shot or something, but that's not the case. It's going to be your assembly. So when you put this on, make sure that slips right back where it should. Line it up, put it on, put the washer on, put the snap ring on, put your bar and chain back on, and you're done. Now you've got a smaller kerf bar and chain making your cuts for carving. So now that I have both those off, I kind of want to give you guys just some comparison shots with those bars and chains, not on any saws. Here is the 170, and this is the original to the 250. You see the difference there? How about this way? Can you see the difference in the kerf and how thick it is? How tall they are? So by putting this 170 bar and chain on your 250, you're going to get a faster cut. You're going to be able to get into tighter spots too, because that bar comes down way more narrow than the original stock 250 bar. Now, something to keep in mind though, you might start burning the tip of these out sooner than the 250, because let's face it, this bar is kind of meant for a smaller saw with a little less power. Just keep that in mind. But I kind of feel that it's going to pay off in the end. I've been carving with this setup for a couple months now. My smaller carvings, I've used it on bigger carvings. I love it. This thing just rips way faster than that stock bar on there. The cuts are a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and I really, really like this setup. So that's really it. That's all I've got to say about doing some upgrades to these saws that most of you already have. I hope this video is helpful and informational. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you this weekend with a tutorial Saturday. So make sure you guys come back for that. I'll see you later.